Hi guys, welcome to another knitting pod. I'm Lena and I'm so glad you're here today with me. If you're first time, welcome. Thanks for chatting and sitting with me. And if you're back, welcome back. I have so much content today that we're gonna get right into it. I cannot believe it's March. It's March 2nd right now and it just blows my mind. I don't love January, and I really didn't love this January because it was super gloomy and it just feels like one long hangover from the holidays. And that month drags, but the minute it gets to February, it just feels like time it's like a tumbleweed. It just keeps going faster and faster and faster. And yeah, so it is March. Oh my goodness. I can feel winter receding and spring coming, which is incredible in so many ways, but also makes me sad because I love the cold weather so much because it's the knitting weather. It's what knitters live for, is cold weather. But whatever, we will roll with the punches and transition into knitting spring knits soon enough. But for now, here we are. It's still cold. It was like snowing and cold yesterday, so I'm still holding on to winter. Anyway, let's get right to the knitting, okay? We save all the other stuff for the end of the pod usually. What is on my needles? You guys know I've been knitting the Lace and Fade Boxy, and I've made a decent amount of progress. Well, let me back up. I just assume you watched the last video or two. The Lace and Fade Boxy is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. It is an oversized top-down sweater, and here is my progress so far. It is, I'm just looking at it in this little screen, and it just is so gorgeous. I really hope you can appreciate this stunning yarn. It's kind of hard to get it to cooperate. This is Wandering Flock yarn in their Baby Paca weight, which is a sport weight blend of alpaca, mohair, and a little bit of nylon. And it is absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, y'all. If you've ever wanted to knit with Wandering Flock, I just love their stuff so much. This is the lace weight mohair silk. I forgot if it has a special name, cutesy like Baby Paca, but this is their Mohair Lace. I've knit with it before and it is so beautiful and soft and fluffy. And I just think the lace part is coming out so gorgeous. So it's like that perfect yarn where the dye is so beautiful, but the yarn is so beautiful too. It's like desert island level yarn, you guys. So highly recommend Wandering Flock yarn. This pattern has been interesting for me. I've never knit anything by Joji Locatelli, and it's been a little bit different. For instance, I ended up having to rip out a huge section of knitting because to me the directions just weren't super clear. It says knit a certain length from the cast on edge. You know what? I'm not going to detail what mistake I made because I don't think it would quite make sense and it's not worth the ramble time. It's enough to say I interpreted the directions incorrectly on the back panel before joining to knit into the round. So I had knit a whole chunk of stockinette unnecessarily. Knitting's never unnecessary, but alas, I had to rip it out. I say all this to tell you that the method I used to get back on track was so helpful and useful, and it's such a testament to why sometimes when it seems like you might be wasting time watching YouTube videos about knitting, they're not always a waste of time. They're never a waste of time. I'm sorry, that came out wrong. But sometimes, you feel like it's self-indulgent to be sitting there watching YouTube videos. Or maybe you don't, and I'm just weird. However, months and months ago, it might even be like a year ago, I was kind of down this rabbit hole of the podcast Very Pink Knits. I was just kind of watching a lot of her videos for some reason. I don't really know why, because they're not like chit chat videos. They're very useful technique videos. And she had shown this technique of if you mess up in your knitting and you want to go back, but you didn't put a lifeline, what do you do? And that was so interesting to me, and it just stayed in my brain latent. So when I came to this and I had made this mistake and I hadn't put in a lifeline, I was able to just recall exactly what she said to do, and I could do it without even pulling up that video. So I'm going to link that video because it was so, so helpful. And I wanted to show you, here it is. This is the needle I used. It is a ChiaoGoo. I highly recommend, if you are a beginning or intermediate knitter and you have never used this trick, to buy one of these needles, okay? It is a US 00, so 1.75 millimeter. I'm sure you could buy any fixed circular. It's a 40-inch fixed circular. This is ChiaoGoo because I love ChiaoGoo because the little cord is so nice and floppy. It's literally like you could, vaccinate someone with this. It's so tiny. But what you do is basically in stockinette, you just go through and pick up the right leg of every single stitch. And this thing is so tiny, even with this very fine weight yarn. You just slip it under, put your whole needle in there, and then that's it. All your stitches are perfectly mounted. And then I ripped all the extra off, and then I just joined it in the round and just knit it straight off of this. And it was so great. I mean, I fixed the whole thing. Once I figured out that I had made a mistake, I fixed it in like 20 minutes. So if you don't have one of these, they are so useful for so many different things like socks and ribbing, and you just never know. Get yourself one of these fixed, tiny, tiny, tiny circulars, and I don't think you would ever regret it. And that trick, because I don't put in lifelines. I used to at the very beginning when I was a baby knitter, a very, very baby knitter, because it just made me feel comfortable. But then it just becomes an annoying step. And just knowing that I can most likely fix my mistake by picking up stitches, it's enough for me. And I love Andrea Mowry. She's my favorite yarn mother. And she always says, like, you learn so much more from fixing your mistakes than just from always doing things right. And it's so true. When you have to figure out how to rectify something, those lessons just really stay with you. And so go binge watch you some Very Pink Knits, and guilt-free, because it'll sit in your head until you need it. And it's so helpful. I love her channel. Not only is she gets to the point, she's really concise. She gives you so many strategies for dealing with mistakes. She does knitting reviews. I'm sure a lot of you have encountered her, but if you haven't, really, really worth your time. Anyway, so here I am, joined in the round. I kind of constantly have this, like, I hope I'm on the right track. Because, like, look at this armhole, y'all. Like, this is, like, microscopic. But I believe it's going to hit, like, right here. So it should be fine. But I don't know. Whatever. I tell you, it just sometimes... it's just an act of faith in the designer. Like, I know Hohi is a good designer. My friend Sharon has knit this very project. So worst comes to worst, I go running and crying and take all my knitting to her, and she'll help me fix it. But I think I'm on the right track. I have to finish this. If I want to wear it by my birthday, I have to finish it by like March 22nd, because we're going out of town. And I want it to be blocked and just absolutely perfect by then. So I'm really excited. And now that I'm going in the round and there's no purling, I don't know if y'all feel like this about purling, but even though it's been 2 years since I started knitting, purling is still like It just doesn't have the ease of knitting. I mean, knit stitches. But that's okay. I feel like I get more fluid in the motion the more I knit. But now that I'm in the round, I don't believe I'm going to have to purl anymore. So Lace and Fade Boxy. I'm loving it so far. I'm really, really happy with my yarn choice. I think it suits the project really well. And after my ranunculus, which was, very earthy, it was in this, if you saw my last episode when I wore it, it's brown and it's in linen quill, which is a much more rustic feeling yarn. It's like, it's nice to change pace, They're the same weight about, like pretty light, but going from like knitting with a rustic brown yarn to like this beautiful speckled neon-y pastel-y color, it lands, y'all. It lands. So that's that. And that's that. I hope I make progress on it this weekend. That's always the thing when you rip back. You're like, I could have been so much further along, but it doesn't matter. It does not matter. What else? I am knitting also, I've shown you this before, the wide rib hat by Purl Soho. I'm making it for my son to take on a trip he is taking. This is the Malabrigo Rios yarn, and I don't remember the colorway. It was in my stash. But look how beautiful this is knit up. Like, he didn't want something really funky and colorful, but I'm enjoying this knit so much because the color is so beautiful. Do you guys get this feeling of like watching the yarn unfold? It's as you knit it up, there's just nothing like it. Maybe it's just because I love color so much. But even though this is technically a solid color, it has such beautiful variations and subtlety, and it just adds to my joy in knitting so much when I get to work with a color that I love. And this is not like a me color. I'm not usually like drawn to blues or tones like this, but it's really fun. I'm done finally with the ribbing. This is it. Now it just goes round and round in stockinette. Yay, no more purling. So I really hope I get a lot of progress made on this. I think I told you guys last week, my son is a basketball obsessive. He loves basketball and he plays a lot. And one of the teams he's on right now, all their games are on Friday night. Yay! It's just kind of a bummer because like Friday night, you just want to like make some plans or maybe make no plans and stay at home or whatever it is. But it's like, gotta pack it up. And not only is it basketball this week on Friday night, but it's a double header. So 2 games, 2 whole hours of knitting in the bleachers. So, he's so excited and I'm excited to watch him play. And I hope to make a lot of progress on this during those 2 hours. This is just, I'm such a convert to, I think I said this last time, to having one bigger project and one smaller project. I normally would just be pretty monogamous with my projects. Like, I didn't like having 2 projects going, and I would just take my bigger project in the car or to the games or whatever. But now it's so satisfying to have projects that can be finished a little bit more quickly. I also think it's good for my hands to switch it up. Like, these are bigger needles, and it's just easy to grab this little project bag, throw it in my backpack and go, rather than being like, have my pattern, the lace pattern I need to follow and stitch markers and all that, which is just a little bit too complicated for on-the-go knitting. So even though that pattern is super easy, it's just not as easy as this. So yeah, not much to report. He loves the color and he's really excited to have it. So yes, that is that. That is honestly all that I have on my needles right now. I mean, it's not surprising, but I don't usually go for more than 2 projects. So next up is some extremely exciting stuff that I have to share with you. I was just thinking of you guys all last weekend after this happened because I just could not wait to talk to you about it. Could not wait. Okay, so I live in Colorado and it's just a dream to live here. I love it so, so, so much. I feel like it's where I belong. We live in Boulder, but we live kind of a little bit further out. So there's lots of open space. Every single day I get to see sheep grazing or alpaca grazing or cows. And it's just very bucolic. It's lovely. And I don't know where I came across this, but I saw it somewhere. Maybe it was, I don't know. I don't know where it was, but it was an advertisement for an event called Alpaca Extravaganza. You can only imagine how freaking excited I was when I discovered that this event was going to happen last weekend. Alpacas, I cannot explain to you how much I love those weird, bizarre looking animals. They are so glorious to me. I mean, they're so darling looking in the most strange, kind of alienish way. And then alpaca fiber, you guys. I mean, if anyone knows, y'all know, okay? So my daughter, who's always ready to roll for anything fiber related, we were like, yes, it's going to be amazing. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And my husband and son were going to go skiing. My husband didn't end up feeling great, so they decided to scrap the skiing plan because it's a drive, 2 hours. It's nothing you want to just do if you're not feeling great. Anyway, so they came with us, which was so fun. You guys, sometimes it's just easy to be like, girls go do this and the boys are going to go do this. But it was such a fun excursion as a family. Let me focus back. So it was at the Boulder County Fairgrounds, which is it's an incredible space where they do a lot of livestock stuff. And it was indoor, and it reminded me a lot of kind of like a mini Rhinebeck. It was kind of had this Barney vibe, and there were all these different booths set up, and all these ranchers. I guess it would be called ranchers. I don't know. They had brought their alpaca, and they were all, in their little fenced in areas, and you just got to get so up close and pet them if they would let you. A lot of them were nervous because obviously that's not they weren't in their comfort zone. But anyway, it was just, I wish I could have taken you all with me, like in real life, not like a video or something, because I could have done that, but I was just so in the moment. I didn't want to be like videotaping anything, but it just was a dream. That's all I can say. It just, to connect with the people that care for these animals. And, I've learned from these kinds of events, you got to go scope it all out before you buy anything, because, you go to like one stall and then the next stall, and you're enamored with something they have, you need to take a nice big loop and see what's out there in every stall, and then let it kind of simmer in your mind, and then make your choices if you're going to purchase something. So it was smart, and that was the tack we took. And so there was one woman there who I connected with her so deeply. Her name was Annie. She has an alpaca ranch very close to where I live, maybe just 20, 25 minutes, 30 maybe away. And oh my gosh, you guys, I wish you could have seen these animals. They were so beautiful. I will put pictures in for you to see her animals. The ones I'm going to put in right now are hers. And they were just stunning. And the love she had for them was just next level. So she had this display with all this yarn. And the minute I saw it, I thought, that's it. if you've watched my episodes before, you know, I was, after I made Stephen West's painting brick socks, I suddenly had this like deep, passionate urge to knit a sweater or a cardigan in with something with stripes. There was something about the stripes on the bottom of that sock that they were so beautiful, and like, I just loved it. It gave me that sparkly feeling that I always follow. And the minute I saw this display, it was like just perfect. Because you guys know, if you watched the episode where I talked about this cardigan that I had scouted out, the Douglas Cardi by Andrea Mowry, that I was like really craving making it in like a much more earthy palette than my typical neon, what I'm normally drawn to. But I couldn't figure out if I would be happy knitting a palette like that, because bright colors bring me so much joy. And I was a little worried that if I went against my colorful instincts, that I wouldn't find a lot of joy in knitting that pattern. Y'all, when I saw these yarns lined up, even, don't tell Neon Pink I said this, but they brought me even more joy than Pink. You can't tell Neon Pink that I said that, because it's so disloyal, but oh my God. Okay, enough talking. Let me show you the Annie's Alpaca Farm yarn that I bought. And then I'm also gonna show you before my bag. I got this bag at Wool and Folk. This is a bag from Renninger Wool Company, and it has a little poem on the back. This is Purl. This is my Purl bag. I talked about this in my very first podcast episode, which is, it takes all my self-control not to go delete that baby, because it's just, I was so uncomfortable in that first episode. I wasn't myself. Like, I was just terrified doing that episode. But anyway, I leave it up because y'all, this is a safe space, I know. And anyway, in that very first episode, I talked about Renninger Wool Company, and I bought this bag from her with some gorgeous yarn at Wool and Folk last October. So it just makes me so happy. So I put only my specialist things in here. I know, most special, but regardless. Okay, let me show you, okay? I'm gonna start with this one. Look how beautiful, oh my gosh, can you see? It's so rustic and real. It's so close to the animal, like it just, the energy, there's an energy in this yarn that is so just amazing. It's like I love like a wandering flock or a hedgehog fibers or whatever. Beautiful yarn brings me so much joy. However, there is no connection between me and the animals that produced that wool and that fleece. It just feels like you're connected to the deeper, I don't know how to say it, but if you know, you know. It's like this feeling of being connected to like a deeper level of this thing we're so passionate about. It's like the difference between having a garden and growing your own carrots and harvesting them and eating a carrot from your garden, and then going to like Trader Joe's and getting a bag of carrots and eating that carrot. Like, yes, they're both carrots, but the experience is very different. That's how I feel about this. So it's Annie's Alpaca Ranch, Ann Danielson. This is from Erica, the alpaca named Erica. And what I loved is like every skein I'd pick up, Annie would be like, oh my gosh, that's so-and-so's yarn, and she's this way, and this was from a fleece from a year ago or whatever. You could feel like her love for these animals was just so deep and real. And I was just thrilled to be able to support her. She was everything. So this is Erica. It is sport weight. She actually was the mama to many of the other skeins of yarn I got. This one is from, this is my favorite one. It's this gorgeous rose goldy. Oh, I just could weep with love for this color and this yarn. And I wish you could feel it. If it was a scratch and sniff medium, I would make you both scratch and sniff it. So this alpaca's name was OMG, she's so cute, because she said when she was born, Annie was out of town and another person was, she was born while Annie was out of town. And so, but every time she got any sort of message about this new baby, everybody would just say, OMG, she's so cute. Oh my God, she's so cute. And so she named her OMG, she's so cute. She said she just looked like a little doll, you know, like just that perfect little alpaca phase. So Erica is her mom, I believe. Okay, so that's 2. What's this one? This is Addison. This is a grayish color. I'm sorry if you hear a sound. Do you hear that? It's my dog. She snores so loudly, y'all. So, Danny, shh. I don't want it to be bothering you. This is Olay. She's so creamy and beautiful. And then my last one is this gorgeous kind of oatmeal color named Portia, from an alpaca named Portia. You can see the subtle variation here. This one is creamier, and this one has just a little more oatmeal. That's all that it strikes me as, is oatmeal. So, you guys, I mean, look at this. I'm going to try to hold them all up. Isn't it amazing? Oh my God. I look at them every day. I didn't wind them because I just wanted to show them to you in the skeins. The depth of my feeling for these skeins of yarn it's kind of, some would say unhealthy, how much I love them. But anyway, I'm dying to cast this sweater on. Okay, so what am I gonna make out of it? The Douglas Cardi. I changed my mind. I think there's 3 reasons I changed my mind. Number 1, I have the pattern. I bought the pattern in Andrea Mowry's last sale. And I was looking at the pattern and it's a lot. It's a big pattern. It's not gonna be like, it just seemed like an undertaking. And I also realized I have like a trillion cardigans. I have knit so many cardigans, this being one of them. This is my very first garment I've ever knit. So I was excited to wear it for you guys. This is the Bubble Cardigan by Stephen West, my beloved Stephen West. It is so far from perfect, but I love it so much because it's my first garment that I ever made. But I'll talk about that in a second. I don't want to get sidetracked. The point I was making is that I have so many cardigans because I always thought I found cardigans more wearable. Then I knit the ranunculus, which if you watched my last 3 videos, I raved about, as has like the rest of the knitting world. Favorite knit of all time, hands down, process, finished object, everything. The ranunculus was my favorite. And it is a sweater. And I love it. I have worn it so much, so much more. I feel happier when I wear that than when I wear anything else I've ever owned in my life. And I'm being serious. I love that thing so much. And it just made me realize I do like sweaters. What I don't like is tight sweaters. I don't like tight sweaters. Like, you know, like how Andrea Mowry always designs that gorgeous Rhinebeck sweater that's like color work and all the beauty, but it is always really fitted and snug and like turtleneck and I know you can modify that or I can make it loose or whatever, but that color work, it looks so beautiful fitted. I don't like that. I've never made one because I'm like, I don't think I would wear that because I won't feel comfortable in that. I don't know why. I'm not really like even interested in digging on that one because who cares? If you don't feel comfortable in something, don't hand make that garment. So I've always gravitated towards cardigans because they're big and oversized. But then when I knit the ranunculus, I realized, no, I love sweaters. So just find sweaters that are made to be a little bit more oversized, which is like the lace and fade. Boxy goes into that box. So I went to one of my go-to designers, Jessie Made Designs. Adore her. I think her aesthetic, I've talked about it before, so modern and beautiful and clean and just lovely. She has a pattern called the Northwoods V Neck, and I have it in my favorites on Ravelry. And when I was scrolling to see if I had anything in my stored away in my favorites that would fit the stripe thing, it was just a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. It's V-neck, which is my favorite. I love a V-neck. And it's oversized and the yardage fits perfectly. Like I'll have plenty of yarn. That's the other thing. The third reason was I have found, I've knit a lot of Andrea Mowry sweaters or cardigans or whatever. I feel like she always, and I think this is great for one reason and then kind of annoying for another reason. Her yardage that she says is required is always substantially higher than what the actual garment requires. And so I bought all this yarn thinking I was going to do the Douglas cardigan. I came home and I laid it all out, and I looked at the pattern and it says you need so much more than this. And this is a lot of yarn, y'all. This is like not any small amount of yarn. And this wasn't even going to be enough, but I think it would be enough. But I would be so paranoid that it wouldn't be enough that the whole time I'd be like stressed about it because it's not like I can go out and just buy more of this yarn. So anyway, I just decided I did not want to do the Douglas cardi anymore. Not right now, at least. So I'm going to make the Northwoods V-neck out of this. I know I'll have plenty and I'm sure I'll have some left over. The thing about alpaca is it's very drapey and heavy and it doesn't hold its shape like wool. So I'm glad I picked an oversized sweater. I hope, so I say that because like it doesn't have to stay in a certain shape. It can be kind of more flowy and it doesn't matter. It's so soft, like I said. I hope it doesn't pill like crazy, but it is 2-ply and it has this stunning halo. I don't know if you can see how pretty this halo already is. So I hope it doesn't pill, but if it does, whatever. I have to have a garment made out of this. So yay. This is happiness, I'm telling you. I'm so lucky to have a husband that's like completely supportive of my extreme yarn addiction. He was like, you should get all that yarn. It's like, I love you. Yes, I should. And I did. So that's that. I got 2 more skeins that I'll show you real quick. Say bye to Purl. Isn't she darling? 2 more skeins from a different ranch. This is from Red Flower Ranch, and it is so gorgeous also. And you know what I love more than anything is when there's like hay and other vegetable matter in yarn. It makes me feel like close to the animal. I just love it. She was apologizing. I was like, don't apologize. Can I have extra hay with my yarn? So here's one thing that I found absolutely fascinating that I wanted to share with y'all. Apparently, I learned this from this rancher. Every color, maybe this is obvious, and I'm sorry if it's silly that I was surprised by this, but every color of alpaca, so I think there's upwards of 22 different colors of alpaca. So like ranging from really deep black to white, 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 and everything in between, like rose golds and fawn and, chocolate brown and multicolor. It's an embarrassment of riches. But apparently every color has a different feel to it. This, I wish again that you could feel this, because it feels like there is silk blended in with this alpaca. That's how it's silky. It's silky, smooth, soft, buttery heaven in a skein of yarn. It's spectacular. My husband picked this out. He wants me to make him a scarf, and I'm thrilled to make him a scarf. He's super simple when it comes to dressing. Like, he only wears navy, black, and gray. And he doesn't like anything fancy, but he wanted a scarf. And thankfully I found a really fun pattern on Purl Soho called the diagonal rib. No, I wrote it. I have it. Where did it go? Diagonal striped scarf. It's a free pattern on Purl Soho. And you just like randomly put diagonal stripes in it. And thankfully he approved it, so it doesn't have to be just a solid black yarn. I think that those random stripes that I can pop in will keep me entertained. It's in garter stitch, which is exactly what I want. And I'm thinking of doing the stripes in a fingering weight and lace weight mohair held together. I was gonna do burnt orange held with like a tan mohair, so that it's a little thicker and it'll give it a little floof, because my husband is a huge Texas Longhorns fan. And then it would be like black and burnt orange would be a little longhorny. So yeah, I think it'll be fabulous. I'm gonna cast this on the second I finish my son's hat, because I think I've told you guys, like, I feel like I owe my family some knits, because there's some really generous knitters out there. I'm just not one of them. I'm not one of them yet. I think because I'm a new knitter, I'm so excited to make myself garments. But now I like having a smaller project on the needles with a bigger project. So this will be my next smaller project. So yeah, it doesn't have the name of the sweet animal, but these were lovely people also. And I learned so much about alpaca and their fiber. Apparently it's warmer than wool. I did not know this. Warmer, heavier, drapier. So like doing something like cable work in an alpaca might make that fabric so dense and heavy, and it might become kind of like floppy and draggy. So I was reading in my book of yarn, I even have it here, this book, I was reading about alpaca after I got home, and I was so excited. And she doesn't recommend doing cable work and stuff in 100% alpaca. You can always find alpaca blends, but at these shows, they're usually just pure alpaca. So yeah, magic, best weekend ever. I want to show you pictures, so I'm inserting pictures. But yeah, I'm gonna have to wind this baby up and get started on that soon. All right, well, that is all the yarny fiber content I have today. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which I've been like reluctant. I promised myself, well, let me back up. You guys, if you've watched this channel and you watched some earlier episodes, you know that starting this YouTube channel has been a huge step out of my comfort zone. I don't know, for so many reasons. This is the number one reason, other than self-doubt, which, I mean, if you don't have self-doubt, rock on, but I definitely do. But the real reason the deeper reason was I had this fear that, like, knitting is everything to me. Like, it is like the language of my soul. And I was scared if I started this YouTube channel, like, that would change. Like, it would taint it in some way. Like, it would take this thing for which I have the deepest, most unabiding devotion and love, and like make it commodify it almost. Like, would it make me obsessed with subscribers and content and like feel rejected if nobody watched? And I just had all this fear around that. Like that I didn't want the only thing in my life that is 100% pure and gives me nothing but joy and passion and color in my life. Like that's what knitting is, just like from taking my life from black and white to color. I was scared starting this channel would mess with that magic. And to the contrary, if it is possible that now my knitting brings me more joy, like I never thought that was possible, and that's 100% what has happened with me starting this channel. Is my intention was to connect with people that felt as strongly as I do about fiber and yarn and knitting. And I don't know how, but that's exactly what has happened. It's like the intention drew in that same energy from you guys, and the people that message me and we chat through the comments. It's like, you don't know how much joy I get from connecting with you guys over all the things I talk about. It's pure magic. Why am I telling you this? Several of you have asked me if I have an Instagram account. And I do have an Instagram account that I don't post on. I just participate via stalking. I just follow like Stephen West and Andrea Mowry and all these amazing knitters and fiber, creators. And I just never participate. I just watch other people, and that's always been plenty for me. But now that I've got this incredible group of people, you guys, I want to be able to connect with you deeper. Like last Saturday when we were at the Alpaca, I would have loved to just post something to show you where I was, just so that we are connected even more than we are through these weekly podcasts. And to be able to follow you guys, like you have to hear me talk, and you do leave me comments, and we chat that way. But I would love to follow your Instagram accounts and see what you're making and what you're doing in your lives. Like I know I need to do this and I want to do this, but it's hard for me, you guys. I'm being very honest with you because this is an honest space. I do not bring you, I bring you like a really true, my truest thoughts I try to put into words. And I don't know, it's just, I have a deep reluctance to be on Instagram. I think also here I get to talk and explain how I feel. I just don't think I can't communicate in the same way through a picture, but I can write, a caption, and I think it's good. I think it'll be good. So I started a page. It's at Another Knitting Pod, so the same name as I am here. And it was like my first baby step. I was like dipping my toe into, it was like, okay, take that first step, that first difficult step to doing this. So I put the account up, but I didn't put any content on. I was like, okay, take a deep breath. You can do this, walk away. But I did not realize, because I am a dodo bird, I did not realize Instagram would start recommending my page to people in my, contacts or whatever, people I know. And I was so traumatized, like all of a sudden, all these people like in my real life started following me. And I was like, oh, this is not what I wanted. Like, I don't want people that really know me to follow me, because nobody understands the knitting side of me. And I don't share that side with people that don't knit really, because they don't get it. Like, I'm so protective of my knitting and that side of me. It's like the deepest, it's like the core of me, because I don't know if you guys feel like it's this, but I hate when people are like, oh, I wish I had a hobby like that. I'm like, it's not a hobby. It's no more a hobby than like breathing is a hobby. Like I could no less stop knitting than I could hold my breath and stop breathing. So people don't get it. You know what I mean? And I don't like mixing mojo. Y'all get it. Y'all see the real me and the real like feeling, and you respect and understand it. But like the random people that now are starting to follow me on Instagram, I just have to be brave enough to show everybody that this is a side of myself, the truest side of myself. And I guess I can't keep self-protecting. And now I'm officially in ramble territory. My point is, please go follow me on Instagram at Another Knitting Pod. Your incentive to do so is, my birthday is on March 31st. You know this because I'm talking about knitting a birthday sweater. Follow me on Instagram and subscribe to me here on YouTube. I'm going to put up a post where I would love it if you followed and then just left me a message in my Instagram telling me your favorite knitting pattern of all time. Like, I want to know the pattern that makes you sparkle the way the ranunculus made me sparkle. So those rare projects where the process and the finished object meet up to be just like 10 out of 10. I want you to leave me that. And at the end of the month, after March, so in April, I'm going to just pick one random person and I'm going to send you a gift. Okay? Because I want to give you a gift from me. I wish I could give every one of you something from me, but to tell you how much I adore you and how much you've meant to me and how much building this community has enriched my existence. So I want to send you a little something, a few of my favorite things, knitting and non-knitting. I've started collecting them. I'm going to send them in a little package to you. And I want us to start building a little community on Instagram where we can connect and I can participate in your lives a little bit more, and you can see little snippets of my daily life, like when I'm knitting during the week and in carpool and at double headers on Friday nights. So that is my long way of saying that. So if you are still here, you are a trooper, because that was quite a long-winded thing to say. But I just had to tell you in a full, in context, rather than just, oh, I started an Instagram page, please go follow me. I always want you to know, like, the turmoil here and here. It's a lot. It's like, it's a very windy place, my mind. But you guys are amazing, and I adore you. And I'm not going to talk about parenting today or books or podcasts because we're already almost at 50 minutes, and I really wanted to talk to you about that instead. We'll talk about all those other things next time. If you are still here, thank you. And I hope you have a weekend full of knitting. I cannot wait to get a little bit more knitting done, and I can't wait to be back here with you again, because if you can believe, I actually had another yarn acquisition, because I'm a crazy person, that I was dying to show you, but we're going to save that for next time, okay? I hope you have a lovely weekend, and that it brings you lots of times with your needles, and I will see you next time, okay? Bye, my friends.